To escape a lifetime of corporate slavery, a group of young scavengers planned one last heist. The target, an abandoned research station, floating in the void. They were hunting for cryopods, a ticket to a new life on a paradise world. But the station wasn't just abandoned, it was a tomb. And the experiment that filled it was still very much alive. Our story begins on a desolate mining colony, under the oppressive watch of the Wayland, Yutani Corporation, for a young woman named Heroine. Every day is a struggle for a future she can't reach. Her only family is Andy, a synthetic, who she considers a brother, a gentle soul in a harsh world. Reine's dream is to escape to Yuvaga, an independent paradise planet where she and Andy can be free. She has worked for years to earn her travel permit, only to be crushed by corporate bureaucracy. Her contract is forcibly extended, doubling her servitude from 12,000 hours to 24,000. Her hope for a legitimate escape is extinguished. She is trapped. That is when her estranged brother Tyler and his crew offer a way out. They've detected a derelict Wayland, Yutani Station, a massive research facility called the Renaissance, floating in a decaying orbit. The plan is simple: use their mining hauler to board a station and salvage cryo-sleep pods. Those pods are their only ticket for the 9-year journey to Yuvaga. To get past the station's security, they need Andy. As a Wayland, Yutani synthetic, he can interface with the station's AI, Mother. Reine is hesitant. The plan is insane. A direct assault on the company, but her other option is a slow death in the mines. Tyler promises her she won't even have to leave their ship, a simple in and out job. With no other choice, she agrees. The crew, a motley bunch of desperate youths, prepares to launch. Their rusty mining hauler, the Corbalin, blasts off from the grimy colony, a tiny vessel carrying immense hope and even greater risk. As they journey through space, they catch a glimpse of their destination's sun, a sight of beauty that feels like a promise of the paradise awaiting them. Soon, the Renaissance station looms into view. It's a colossal ringed structure, far larger and more imposing than they ever imagined. Their pilot, Navarro, realizes the station is on a collision course with the planet's rings. They have only 36 hours before it is torn to shreds. Tyler, ever confident, assures them they'll be done in 30 minutes. Before they leave, Reine has a quiet moment with Andy. He confirms his primary directive, programmed by her late father, to prioritize Reine's well-being above all else. It is a comforting thought before plunging into the unknown. The boarding party, Tyler, his cynical cousin, Bjorn, and Andy, prepares to cross over. Tyler's promise to Reine is immediately broken. Andy successfully interfaces with the station and the airlock hisses open, revealing a pitch-black freezing interior. They step inside, and the station's gravity generator purges, plunging them into 0G. It's a disorienting, nauseating experience. The periodic gravity shifts are a safety measure to prevent the station from tearing itself apart, but for the crew it is a constant, violent disruption. Floating through the dark, silent corridors, they finally locate the medbay where the cryopods are stored. Andy manages to restore partial power, bringing lights and stable gravity back online. But their first victory is short. Liv Tyler inspects the pods and discovers a critical problem. They only have enough fuel for 3 years of stasis. Not even close to the 9 years they need to reach Yuvaga. The plan has hit a wall. Refusing to give up, Bjorn uses a scanner and detects a strong energy reading from a nearby cryo depot. Their new mission: find more fuel. As they venture deeper, the station reveals its sinister nature. It's not just a medical facility, it's a military research station. A holographic welcome message praises Wayland, Yutani's efforts in harnessing proactive stimuli. A chillingly vague corporate euphemism. Tensions flare between Bjorn and Andy. Bjorn's mother was killed in a mining accident when a synthetic sealed a leaking tunnel to save the majority, sacrificing the few. He harbors a deep-seated hatred for synthetics, viewing them as unfeeling machines that play God with human lives. He cruelly informs Andy that synthetics aren't allowed on Yuvaga, and that he'll eventually be decommissioned no matter what. The crew finally reaches the source of the signal, a sealed laboratory. This is no cryo depot. Inside, they find disturbing scientific equipment and the decaying corpse of another synthetic. Ignoring the warning signs, they locate the cryo fuel, but as they try to remove a canister, they accidentally trigger an emergency lockdown. The room seals shut, trapping Tyler and Bjorn inside. Even Andy, with his high-level access, cannot override the quarantine protocol. This isn't a storage room, it is a containment chamber. From the Corbelan, a horrified Reine realizes her friends are in grave danger. She and Navarro leave the ship to attempt a rescue. They find the lab's control room and the body of the synthetic scientist, Rook. Reine has an idea: extract the data module from Rook's neck and transfer its credentials to Andy. As they work, the station's systems malfunction, the lab's cooling system fails, and dozens of stasis pods lining the walls begin to thaw. Meanwhile, the person they thought was Rook's corpse suddenly lurches to life, attacking them. It is not a synthetic. It is a human scientist in a state of delirium. They subdue him and get the module. Andy integrates it, but something goes terribly wrong. The module isn't just credentials, it is a full AI upgrade. Andy's eyes turn white as his core programming is overwritten. At that exact moment, the thawing stasis pods burst open, flooding the containment chamber. Unseen things begin to stir in the murky water. Tyler and Bjorn are no longer alone. Skittering, arachnid-like creatures swarm from the pod's facehuggers. They launch themselves at the trapped men. Bjorn is dragged under, his screams silenced by the water. Tyler fights desperately, but it is no use. Navarro smashes the observation window, and they pull Tyler through, but not before a facehugger latches onto Navarro, wrapping its tail around her throat. As they flee, Tyler is ambushed by another creature and dragged into a vent, his terrified cries echoing down the corridor. They regroup, horrified. The newly upgraded Andy, now cold and analytical, examines the creature on Navarro's face. He explains it is supplying her with oxygen, keeping her alive for some unknown purpose. He introduces himself as Rook, the station's science officer. The module didn't just give Andy credentials. It downloaded Rook's entire consciousness into his synthetic brain. The real Rook appears on a monitor. He reveals the horrifying truth. They have encountered the xenomorph, XX-121. The facehugger has implanted an embryo in Navarro. It will fuse with her DNA, rapidly grow, and burst from her chest. Her fate is sealed. Refusing to accept this, Rain and Bjorn use cryo, fuel to freeze the creature's tail, forcing it to detach. They pull it off Navarro, a temporary victory that feels hollow. Rook warns them, the damage is already done. The new Andy, now fully under Rook's control and obeying company directives, makes a chilling decision. He declares Navarro a contaminated specimen. He cannot allow her back on the Corbalin. He locks her and Bjorn out of the airlock, abandoning them to their fate. From the other side of the door, Rain pleads with the cold, unfamiliar version of her brother, but her words mean nothing to him now. His only priority is the company's interest. Just then, the inevitable happens. Navarro begins to convulse violently. With a sickening crack of bone and a spray of blood, a small pale creature, a chestburster, erupts from her sternum. Navarro is dead, and a new nightmare is born. As Bjorn stares in shock, the Corbalin's engines malfunction, and the ship explodes, taking their only way home with it. Now truly stranded, Rain, Kay, and the company, controlled Andy must find another way out. The station's clock is ticking, only 45 minutes until impact. Rook informs them of a secondary docking bay, Hangar 2, on the far side of the station. It is their last chance. But the path is blocked by a hive. The chestbursters have grown, and the station is now their hunting ground. Rook, via Andy, reveals his new primary objective: secure the Z-01 compound, the black goo that creates the xenomorphs. The mission was never about rescue. They must navigate the infested corridors. Rook explains the creatures hunt by sound and heat signature. Their only hope is to raise the ambient temperature of the hallways to match their own body heat, effectively rendering them invisible. They must remain calm and quiet. Any spike in temperature from fear will expose them. They creep through the sweltering, silent hallways, surrounded by the unsettling evidence of the creature's presence. The plan fails spectacularly. A xenomorph drops from the ceiling. In the ensuing panic, Bjorn is cornered. As the creature looms over him, its acidic saliva drips onto his face, burning through his flesh. He dies in agony. Rain and Kay are separated in the chaos. Kay finds herself trapped behind a security door, with a xenomorph closing in. She screams for Tyler to open the door, but he can't find the release. Just as the creature pounces, she finds the keycard and slams the door shut, narrowly escaping. They manage to regroup, but the path to the hangar is now completely overrun. The station is a nest. They find a seemingly safe room, but they are not alone. A grievously injured Tyler stumbles out of the darkness. His stomach is bleeding. He collapses, and to everyone's horror, a fully formed xenomorph bursts from his abdomen. Tyler's body is ripped apart as the monster emerges. Kay is trapped with the newborn beast. Ray and Andy can only watch from behind a sealed door. Kay begs Andy to open the door, revealing she is pregnant, but Andy, under Rook's command, refuses. The risk of compromising the mission is too high. Rain realizes the only way to save her brother is to remove the module. His new highest directive is to serve the company's interests. Leaving Kay to her fate, they press on. Andy leads them to Romulus' lab, the heart of Rook's research. Here, Rook reveals his ultimate goal: to use the xenomorph's genetic material to create a new, more resilient form of humanity. One capable of surviving the harshness of space. The Z-01 compound is not a weapon, but a twisted form of salvation. He has been manipulating them to secure his life's work. Andy, now armed with military-grade pulse rifles from the lab's armory, announces a change of plans. They will secure the compound. But he warns Rain. The station's lower levels are exposed to the vacuum of space. A single stray bullet could decompress the entire section. They find a path through a massive cargo bay, but it is another nest. A fully grown xenomorph queen is here, surrounded by her brood. They find Kay, barely alive, cocooned to the wall. She is bleeding profusely, but there is no facehugger nearby. Andy knows she wasn't impregnated in the traditional way. They carry her, making a desperate run for the last escape elevator. The xenomorph queen gives chase. In a chaotic scramble, the survivors are sent tumbling into the dark recesses of the cargo bay. The queen corners Buren's cousin and melts him with a spray of acid. Rain and Kay are thrown clear, but Andy is downed. Rain makes an impossible choice. She shoves Kay into the escape elevator with a Z-01 compound, telling her to launch and get to a cryopod. She sacrifices her own escape to go back for Andy. As the elevator ascends, Kay injects herself with the compound, hoping it will save her and her unborn child. Rain finds Andy, disabled. She tells him he'll die if he stays, which is not in the company's best interest. With this twisted logic, she convinces him to let her remove the Rook module. She rips the chip from his neck. After a tense moment, the Gentle, carrying Andy she knew returns, but they are cornered by the Queen and her warriors. Trapped and out of options, Rook contacts Rain one last time. He offers to remotely pilot a ship for her if she makes it out. A final, desperate alliance. Rain has a daring idea. She initiates another gravity purge, sending everyone and everything floating. In the zero-G chaos, she and Andy open fire with the pulse rifles. The recoil from the powerful weapon sends them hurtling through the air. A wild, uncontrolled ballet of destruction. They blast their way through the swarm. They reach the main elevator shaft, just as the gravity purge is about to end, and they leap into the abyss, firing their guns to slow their descent. The Queen pursues them down the shaft. Just as gravity returns, the station impacts the planetary rings. The entire structure is ripped apart in a cataclysmic explosion. Rain and Andy are blasted clear, surviving the station's destruction. Rook, true to his word, remotely pilots a tug ship to rescue them. On board, they find Kay, alive, but in agony. Rook congratulates them, setting the autopilot for a Wayland Yutani outpost. The company will get its prize. Rain has other plans. She overrides the autopilot, setting a new course for Yuvaga. I am afraid I must deny your petition, she says, throwing Rook's own words back at him. She gives Andy a new final directive. It is us now. But their victory is shattered. Kay goes into violent labor. The Z-01 compound didn't save her. It accelerated the gestation. In a scene of unimaginable horror, a hybrid xenomorph, human queen bursts from Kay's womb. She dies screaming. The newborn queen, a grotesque fusion of alien and human, now stalks the halls of their small ship. Rain, the sole human survivor, must face this final monster alone. She lures it into the cargo bay. She climbs into a cargo loader, a final, desperate nod to the heroes who came before her. In a brutal, metal, on, Chitin brawl, she fights the queen. She manages to grab it with the loader's claw and activates the emergency airlock. The cargo bay doors open, and the queen is violently ejected into the cold, silent vacuum of space. It is over. Rain patches up the damaged Andy and puts herself into cryosleep for the long journey ahead. Her final log entry is a whisper of exhaustion and uncertainty. She doesn't know what awaits on Yuvaga, or if she'll even make it, but she is, against all odds, a survivor.